Welcome back to the Power and the Glory. Today's scripture is taken from the book of Psalms, and it's Psalm 61 verses 1 to 2. But before I read the scripture, please like, share and subscribe. It does make a huge difference to the Google algorithm. And thank you to my existing subscribers for your ongoing support. I really do appreciate it. So that being said, I'll read the scripture now. Hear my cry, O God, listen to my prayer. From the ends of the earth I call to you. I call as my heart grows faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. So this is a psalm of David, and it's a situation where David feels desperate. This is a cry from a weary heart calling to God from a place of isolation, which could be physical or one where he had actually no support from allies or friends that he could rely upon. In this tired state, he calls to God to lift him higher to God's higher realm of protection, insight and understanding, and above all, a safe place of refuge. So that being said, let's look at the scripture now in a bit more detail. Hear my cry, attend to my prayer. So David, as I said, is in a state of desperation, and he's crying out to the Lord in prayer. And he's crying out to him from the end of the earth. Now, as I said, this could be a place of physical isolation, or more especially, a place where he was in seclusion, perhaps fleeing Absalom and feeling very much on his own and without any support whatsoever. So he says, when my heart is overwhelmed. So this suggests exhaustion, deep despair, or depression. Now, what he does do, though, he asks God for help in a specific way. He says, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Now, the rock is a metaphor for God himself, which symbolizes safety, stability, and security. A place higher than himself, a refuge that's beyond his own limited strength, wisdom, vision, and abilities. So this means David is in a situation where he cannot save himself and needs God to guide him to a place of safety and peace. So the first key learning that we can take from the scripture is that we've got to acknowledge our limitations, and David's very good at this. One of the worst things in life is to try and muscle through situations or problems that are way bigger than our ability to solve ourselves, and we try to solve them through our own efforts and resources. And one of the greatest strengths of King David was the quality of his discernment. He knew that he'd reached the end point of his own power, and at that stage, if not before, he'd reach out to God and ask for his help. Very often he would actually cry for help early. Why? Because God had always come up with the goods time and time again after David had put his full faith and trust in him. The second key learning is this: we've got to seek a smarter solution to our problems. David surrenders to God's divine guidance. David takes his hands off the wheel and does not try to climb to the rock himself. He asks God to lead him there. This signifies that in times of crisis we need God's grace to lift us above circumstances, allowing God to guide us down the right paths for the optimal solution, where we can see life from his perspective rather than being trapped in our own despair. So I'll end off with an affirmation which we can all use in situations like this. In every challenge I face, I release the need to control the situation and hand my problems to God.